Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast. For each week, we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. It is September 10th. We have bellied up to the bar today with a man who, well, he needs introduction because you just don't know who he is. So we'll make sure he gets his introduction. But we're talking today about why you should own a franchise, what the values are. I am a person myself who owns franchises, so this is near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to go ahead and butcher his last name because that's what I do. Any of you that know me know I'm really, really good at completely dismantling people's names. So I'm going to ensure that I do that here in a minute. So joining me from parts only like 20 minutes away from here, something like 30, not even that far. It is Mr. Bill Overholt. Yay. Woo, I don't have my applause never come through. Like I hear it in my headphone, but you don't. So hi, Bill. How are you?
I heard it. Hi.
Oh, the applause worked this time?
Great. How are you?
Awesome. That makes me very happy. So Bill and I are going to be talking about franchising, why you should own a franchise, if there's a right or wrong time to go to franchising, or, hey, maybe franchising ain't for you. So, but before we get into all that, let's go ahead and get some house cleaning done. As always, folks, there's the big board over my shoulder for Sticker and a Cause. If you have something you believe in, something you're supporting, something you want folks to know all about, you can reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, doggone, what's something, I don't know, like anywhere. Listen, I'll write it on the back of your grandmother's transistor radio if I could. Reach out to me anywhere you can think of. Our website is theabovethebarpodcast.com and our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to me. Let me know what you got going on. I'll tell you where to send your sticker at. You fire that sticker off to me. We'll get people to know all about you and what you got going on. It's free advertisement for you. Gets people to know what's happening in your life. Also, we got to talk about the people that are paying the bills around here, folks, and that's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson Cooksaki, and Budget Blinds of Schoharie, North America's largest custom window treatment company. They handle everything from blinds, shades, shutters. They'll do tint, you name it. They've got it going on. And this is an amazing, amazing month to get involved with those folks. This month is their back to school buy two, get one free special. That means for you, that's an opportunity. Do your whole house, every third window to save on that window. Also, as always, if you tell them you're there to belly up to the bar, they're going to give you another 5%. So think about that for a second, folks. You're saving a third on your price of your order, plus another 5% off. You can't get better than that. And their window treatments are absolutely guaranteed. They come with a no questions asked warranty. If you don't know what that means, folks, that's old school Sears, Craftsman. My stuff broke. Pick up the phone, call your local Budget Blinds and tell them, hey, I need this fixed. And they're just going to fix it. So if you're in the capital region, reach out to Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson Cooksaki, and Schoharie, your number one place for window treatments. Hi, Bill. We're all done now. Can you hear me, Bill?
How you doing?
Did I lose you there for a minute?
Can you hear me? I
can't. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit of a delay. I got to keep that in mind.
All right.
So Bill's joining us. Bill is I like the term principal when it comes to owning a business, but I don't know what Bill's favorite term is. But Bill is the principal with Zoom Room. It is tell everybody what it is, Bill, because I know what I think it is, but you tell everybody what it is.
I think the best way to say it is we're indoor dog training and agility gym. So if you're looking to take that, let's say 45 minutes a week to spend time with the dog that you like, that you love, that you got for a reason, it's a place to go. You can do some agility, you can do some obedience, you can do some enrichment classes, but your phone's not going to ring, your doorbell's not going to ring, and you get a spot to spend time with the pup that you love. That's what I think we do.
And now I'm taking a look here. So you started, you partnered with Zoom Room back in 2007, right? Like nobody like '07, it wasn't even a thing. Like it wasn't even a known entity pretty much around the world. Why pick a franchise, especially after 22 years with Johnson and Johnson? We're not talking like, I was working a dead end job. That's a pretty significant location to be working at. Why Zoom Room?
Long story. A friend of mine many years ago said to me, franchise is like buying a job. So essentially, not going to become a millionaire, which is true, but you're going to be able to pay your bills, get something to do, and so essentially, I've always had franchises on my mind. And Johnson & Johnson, as you mentioned, is a great company, fantastic company, and they have some opportunities for you once you hit the big 5-5 that you can retire with some benefits. And over the course of those years, I created other people's business plans, and then I just wanted to create my own. So I started to research different types of franchises, and there were things that, were okay, but not really interesting me. And then I stumbled upon Zoom Room, and I'm like, what is this? And honest to God, like I couldn't find anything wrong with it. Like Google reviews, including ours. We have well over 50 5-star reviews. And same thing if you look at other stores. And the fact that you could make people happy, you could take care of yourself, you could be your own boss, so to speak. It just was a great combination that I was like, all right, let's go. Let's jump in.
Now, it's funny you mentioned like, franchising is like buying a job. I guess as a franchise owner, I don't think of mine that way. Because like for you, when you're looking into the franchise, were you looking for something that was more of an owner operator? Because I think, and I'll kind of backtrack for a second. I think a lot of people, when they look at franchising, there's different ways. There's the folks that are building a portfolio of businesses, like they buy the McDonald's and the Burger Kings, and hey, I'm going to have 50, 60, 70 of these locations, that kind of things. And then there's the folks that are like, hey, one location, that's what I'm going to manage. What were you thinking? Like, hey, I could do like 10 of these Zoom rooms all over the country. Like, what were your thoughts?
I think that's exactly it. So when I reference like buying a job, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like one place, go to work every day, make a couple bucks, pay your mortgage. You're definitely not going to be a millionaire if you own one McDonald's and any franchise. So for me, it was, okay, what do I do next that allows me to have more control, more influence, more, running the show, if you will. And that is exactly what attracted me to it. So I have no desire whatsoever to have 10 of them, 15 of them. I just love my one. And it's an incredibly rewarding job, position, however you want to call it. And it's just the one for me is good, but I absolutely know people that have 2, 3, 4, 5. One of our owner operators, I think, has a license for 40 of them. But that's not what I wanted to do.
Wait a second, didn't I read in the notes there's only 50 of them? Did I read that wrong?
Yeah. Or maybe not to be developed. Plus 50. I think we're up to around 65 right now, I think. But I guess when I say own 40, it has the license to build them, I guess is the best way to say it.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy crap. Like, that guy just might as well just bought the whole company out and just stop playing around, just buy everybody out and just be done with it. I was like, woo. Well, see, I love franchising. So staying with that model for a second, I know you're saying like, hey, it gave me the ability to kind of do my own thing and run my own thing. What was did you go through a broker? Was it self-research? How did you get into trying to figure out if a franchise was going to work for you?
Well, I knew the franchise was what I wanted to do because I don't know what the best way to say it is. The purpose of a franchise is you get, let's call it the handbook that is something that's replicatable in other areas. And you can, let's just run this handbook and we should be relatively okay. That's the purpose of why you do a franchise, is that a lot of that, call it background work, is done for you. So for me, it was a lot of self-research, talking to other owner-operators, doing a lot of internet research, spent some time with the CEO and the VP of franchising and asking them lots of questions. And it just, why I got here was, and I say this and I truly mean it. Oops, my little AirPod fell out. All right. So there's three things generally you can do in a job. You can make money, you can be fulfilled, and you can have fun. I think for most people, they get two out of those three. They can make the money. You probably can get fulfilled depending upon what you do. But I think it's very rare that you go to work and you are having fun. And I think that was the primary attractiveness to this because it's very fulfilling from a people standpoint. But one thing that literally just brightens every part of my day is I'll be sitting in the office and there'll be a class going on outside the office and I will just hear laughter, giggling, laughter. And I'm like, these people are training their dogs, which is important.
Right.
But they are having fun along the way, and the trainers and myself are having fun. And I think that was the combination for me that kind of worked.
Listen,
all right.
I couldn't imagine.
Where that have some Beano. I like that. All right.
Oh yeah. Have a little Beano. I'm gonna have a little. So I have to tell you about this. I have to tell you this about this bourbon. And for those of you that are joining us right now, you're watching live. We're talking with Bill about franchising, getting into franchising, and about his particular franchise, Zoom Room up in Clifton Park. If you're here in the Capital Region or anywhere in the country, take a look and see if you have a Zoom Room near you. His is zoomroomcliftonpark.com. If you have a question, I don't know how much information Bill can give you, but if you have a question about training your animals, or if you have a question about is franchising right for you, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let's see what we all got to say. I know Bill and I will both have opinions on it. This might be a good rye for you though, Bill. So this is one from out in the Cape. It's a company called it's Toro. I don't know if you know where Toro is in the Cape. Turo, I think is how you spell it.
Okay.
But what's real? Yeah, North Toro, Truro, Truo. But all their whiskeys and bourbons and everything are named after their dogs. So like this one right here is called Dozer. And I've got somewhere over here. Let me see if I can reach it. I got their, well, no, this one is, so it must be just their whiskeys because I have their rum and it's 20 Boat is the name of the rum. So I don't think they had a dog named 20 Boat. But I have like,
you never know.
You don't. I have one of their hoodies, and the back of the hoodie says, for all the dogs we've loved. And it's really just, so it's just a really cool place. Definitely would, I get nothing for this. There's no promotional there other than it's just a really cool place. Definitely worth checking out. So what's some of the things for you, going back to the franchising for a minute, and that franchising model? And I agree with you completely. That's one of the things that drew me to franchising as a Marine was I liked that the structure is already there. The process is already there. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel and banging my head against the wall with something that I think's going to work, but somebody else has already proved that it doesn't. But in my head, like, this should work. Let me go find somebody who's already put it together. What were some of the, and I think there's hoops for all of them. What were some of the hoops that you had to get through for your franchise?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Probably the one thing that they do not kind of provide you on is, maybe it's a sticky term, pricing. So, and how to, and that particular type of pricing, whether it's if you go to like Gold's Gym, you go to your membership, you pay every month, all that kind of good stuff. That part wasn't necessarily given to you because they're not permitted to do that.
Okay.
So figuring that part out was definitely a hoop. Because, I mean, obviously in today's economy, there's some challenges that we all face. And you got to not only have the right price point, you have to have the right value, which obviously I strongly believe we do, but also the right option of that price point. So figuring all that out has been a definite hoop to jump through. The training aspect of things, as far as the dog training, their curriculum is absolutely fantastic, beyond fantastic. I can't even find another superlative word to say. So that was pretty good. I love the marketing side of things. I love the branding. I love the color schemes. Two of my nieces, one of my niece and my nephew went to Clemson, and it kind of reminded me of that. It's a little orange and blue, but instead of purple and blue, but kind of had that vibe for me. So I always felt that, and again, it sounds a little hokey, but I always felt that if you would say something like Starbucks, Disney, and Apple created dog training, this is what it would look like. You're going to definitely be a little bit above price. We're not going to be PetSmart, not even close to being that. But the value is going to be great. You're going to laugh when you come in. You're going to get the quality that you need. And all of that, those components, I think, are delivered. So I think the biggest hoop for me was that pricing structure aspect of things that we settled in on, and we're doing, I think we've met what the customers want right now.
It's interesting that you made the comment about you're not there to be, those other locations. I don't think everybody knows I own the budget blinds. I own 3 of them. And that's a conversation I have with folks often is like, look, I'm not your big box store. I have no interest in being that person. And that sometimes it can be a barrier, not for us, but for people looking to purchase. They're like, they have to get through that barrier themselves. Now, did you, and this is, listen, you don't have to answer this one. This is kind of an interesting question. Like, did you set is it a corporate pricing structure? Like, hey, we expect you to be in here. Like mine's a corporate set. Like, or do you get to, once you open the doors?
So they're not permitted to say you must do this, but they do provide what we would call 4 tiers, pricing tiers depending upon your location.
Okay.
And we're right where we need to be in that area. Like I said, we're if you consider 2 things that are called, one's called board and train, which essentially you send your dog to somebody and they live with them for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Uber expensive, like beyond expensive. And private training, somebody comes to your house, works with your dog, pretty darn expensive.
Right.
And then you have big box. Literally you have 10 people standing in a 10-foot square, and whatever. We're in the middle of that. Like we're in that middle ground, which I think is where people need us to be.
Right. You're not the big box level training, while at the same time, like you said, you're not that. I need to take your dog, and we will take it with us the entire time. You will get him back. He will be very disciplined. You will love him. Don't worry. You're not at that level.
The challenge with that training is 90% of the time that person is right. You do get a dog back that is much better than what you sent in. The challenge as human beings is we don't do what you told us to do. And 3 weeks later, you got that barking dog again. So that's the challenge.
So can I tell you a story that you can use for your business that is 1,000% related to that? So I'll never forget when I was a kid, we had a beautiful red Doberman named Gretchen. Absolutely purebred, cropped tail, ears, everything. Had the nice sleek body her whole life. She never was overweight. My dad sent her to a trainer, and she lived with this person for a couple of weeks after we got her. And when she came back, Dad was like, we got to do this and we got to do that. And I was like 9 or 10 years old. None of that shit. Like, I'm mad that the dog chewed up a toy. Like, it was my toys. The dog ate it. And we're supposed to do all these things. And it's funny that you say that. Like, I can see definitely where, unless the whole house was in their 30s, like you're just not reinforcing that stuff.
Yeah. And I think the role we play is you go to the gym, usually your coach is waiting for you. And they're going to ask, he or she's going to ask, like, hey, what you do this week? How'd you eat? Did you work out? All that kind of stuff. We're having the same conversations. We're starting every class out like that way. So we are more your coach there every week to keep you motivated. And I think that's the primary difference that we have.
You offer an absolutely different feel to it, operations, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. And they care. I mean, I know everybody cares, but the folks that I work with truly, truly care. And if they're not running classes, they're sitting, like if you go in the store, you'll see this kind of what we call an observation bar. They're sitting there on their computers, figuring out the next class, trying to make it fun. Because, there's certain, as like anything, lift and weight. I mean, it's a certain mundaneness, if that's even a word, to doing it. Like it's like repetition. And so the team that I work with spends a tremendous amount of time making it fun, engaging, and teaching and educational for you in your pup that I think sets us apart from a lot of other locations.
Kind of going back to the classes for a second. And again, folks, if you're curious what Bill's got going on or you want to know more about the Zoom rooms, his particular one is zoomroomcliftonpark.com. You can still Google Zoom Room and see if there's one in your local area. But his in particular is zoomroomcliftonpark.com. Especially up here in the capital region, go check out what he's got going on and what's happening up there. How about if my dog isn't fixed? Can I bring him?
Yes. And essentially what will determine if it's on the female side, once things occur, you got 10 days after that to come back so you got to wait. If it's on the male side, we just pay attention. And if there's a little orneriness going on, then we kind of address that. But essentially the odds are pretty limited because there's no, one of the things we do, and I believe other locations may do this as well, but there's no on-leash interactions. Like you're there to work. So if you're coming with an adult dog, you're on a 6-foot leash, you're on the leash all the time, you're separated from other dogs. So there is no opportunity to be amorous, I guess is the best way to say. So yeah, we're pretty good.
We're not
the pew there.
You're not playing Michael McDonald music in the background or nothing like that during the entire time. Al Green or Marvin Gaye
would kill me if I did that. Might do that tomorrow. See what happens.
You should. The entire class be like Al Green, Marvin Gaye, Michael McDonald, maybe a little Chicago thrown in there, some OJs, and just it'd be like, why are we playing Maze? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Why are the blue notes?
So usually you're going to find classic rock with us. You're going to find classic rock. You're going to find some reggae. Reggae is actually clinically proven to reduce anxiety in dogs. The University of Scotland did some work on that.
Really?
So you might find some reggae playing. You might definitely find some classic rock. Is what I grew up with. So that's absolutely there. And then we'll do the barbecue mix, yacht rock, all that kind of stuff. But Marvin Gaye, I haven't thought about. That's pretty good. I like that.
I want some feedback next time we see each other on a Wednesday morning. Just, hey, so I played Marvin Gaye the entire time, and you should have seen these dogs. We couldn't keep them on the leash. It was absolutely incredible. But because I was curious because we've gone and tried to take our dog, and I've got we've got a corgi, who's a purebred corgi. And I'm not, yeah, he's amazing. Magnus is amazing, but I'm not trimming his beans off of him he's an $1,800 dog. I'm gonna call it what it is. I'm not trimming him because it's like, I don't know if somebody comes, and we've had people come to us like, oh, he's a tricolor. He's not the beige
Mhm.
and white. He's the black, beige and white.
Right.
And I've had people like, oh, he's beautiful. I've never seen a corgi like this. And it's like, there's something to that. I'm not going to be like, here you go, bud. You're a less of a dog. Just
Well,
can't
so
do it.
speaking of corgis, if you go to our Facebook page, or actually right now anything, if you go to Facebook page, next door, go to Instagram. We just posted a video. One of our number one agility dogs, little guy named Cinnamon Roll. He is a corgi. He is lightning fast at agility. Fun to watch.
Dude, I know we're making a left turn right now, folks. And look, if you're interested in what Bill's got going on, or you have a question about even purchasing a franchise, drop us a comment. And here I see everybody out there watching right now. I know somebody's got some kind of question about whether or not a franchising is right for you, or even starting your own business is right for you. I love watching Magnus chase after our puppy. We have the puppy is a pure mutt. He's a Beagle Shih Tzu Yorkie mix, pure mutt. But like he's got that long beagle stretch to him, so he can take off pretty good. Magnus still gets on that ass, and just like from that herding, he's got that herding sense to him, and he gets right next to him. You can hear him as soon as he gets near his butt or hind legs. He'll be like, "Rah!" And like take a little like nip towards him, and you can see it like that herding mindset still kicking in. People,
Mhm.
I think, often forget that like these are just because the queen had them doesn't mean that they weren't a working dog. But I want to kind of roll back for a second. Something that just came to me. What other franchises did you look at though?
More, I guess you would say more industry, not specific to a particular brand. And things that were popping up were things like handymans, home cleaning, and because you need it for where I was, you need a certain entry price point. I was not going to be able to open a McDonald's or anything like that. That's just not where I was. So they just didn't speak to me, I guess is the best way to say it.
I get it.
And so yeah, I mean, just basic things like that. And then Zoom Room spoke to me. They kind of shouted out at me to a certain degree.
It's funny you mentioned that about the barrier to entry through the price point side of it. When you were looking, and I try to explain this to people all the time. They're like, "Well, how much does it cost to get in there?" I don't know. What are you looking at? Like, is there a lot of like, if I want to, and here's what I mean by that, folks. If I reached out to Bill today and I said, Bill, I want to buy your Zoom room, my cost to buy Bill's Zoom room is not the cost to buy a new Zoom room. Am I explaining that right? Does that make sense? Like,
It's yeah. I mean, so I mean, in anything, you're going to have a franchise fee. I'm sorry. In this particular case, we're located in, let's call it, retail strip malls, so retail settings. So you have that aspect of things from a rent standpoint. You have build out, which was kind of funny because they redid. I think it's the one on 146. They redid the Dunkin' Donuts near Exit 9, and reading the story about it, like, oh yeah, $375,000 to redo the Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, like, crap, like that's a lot of money. And yeah, building out a retail setting is, we weren't at that price point, but we were in that a little bit below that range. So yeah, yes, yes.
and that's something for people to consider with some of these. If you're looking at franchises, and if you heard what Bill said, I know it chopped up a little bit. To redo a Dunkin' Donuts was 375,000. They were in that range. So you understand, folks, that strip mall that you go into and you see that building, the owner of the strip mall doesn't set that up for you. That's your responsibility. They may offer like, hey, we can help with build out, but you're going to pay them for build out. I mean, I think a lot of people miss that. What were your, like, was that a surprising thing to you coming from the normal,
It was,
nine to five world?
I guess in more. in normal, I guess this probably happens in any type of construction. The initial estimate was under by probably $100,000. And that could have been the time of the times, because obviously in any franchise, you get something called a franchise disclosure document that lists, which they're required to do, it lists what the expected costs would be. And there's a range. But yeah, there were just certain things that happened to me that was like, oh, we need that. Oh, we need that. And all those we need that's add up. And it probably added, I would say, a good 120 onto the total cost that was not, initially expected. So that you definitely need to be prepared for that.
Can you explain, like, I know I can talk about it. I'm not trying to take over my own show. Can you explain the FDD a little bit, the franchise disclosure document, what it is? And because I know a lot of people are like, well, how do you know what these things are? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so franchise disclosure document essentially gives you, the best way to say it is all of the info on, let's call it, existing stores. So you're buying this to replicate what other people are doing. So it's their obligation to tell you, to a certain degree, what other people are doing. And I believe it's item 17, I think is the number, where they have to provide revenue data as well. And that's the one you want to look at, because you want to see what other stores are generating, revenue, all that kind of good stuff for you to expect. But it lists everything that they're going to expect, whether they're charging you for X, their royalties, any additional percentages that they may tack on for other reasons, your build out costs, your expected salary costs, all that kind of good stuff, so that you have a reasonable expectation before you sign that document on what it's going to get you to start.
And that's I don't know if I'm assuming they all say this, because I know mine all did. It'll also tell you how many stores were open, how many stores closed. So if they're telling you like, hey, we're just a hugely growing business here, and you look at your FDD and you're like, you haven't added a new location in 5 years. There's somebody's blowing smoke up your backside. And James said, Petco's overpriced, teens running it, and we need real people. I mean, if that is an opinion for James, I don't need Petco coming for my ass. I ain't got Petco money, but they hire who they can get. James, don't be trying to get me in trouble. But FDDs are like, I'm curious for you, and I know how I did it. What were some of the things that you did in your process going into it? Like did you know? Well, let me ask this: did you know anybody else? I know you mentioned somebody said, "Hey, a franchise is like buying a job." But did you know it? Did that person own a franchise, or did you know anybody else with franchises?
At the time, they did not, but previously they did.
Okay.
They did own some franchises. And then my process was primarily talking to as many people as I possibly could that were involved in the franchise. So other store owners, where there's ones, several I talked to in Ohio, down in Florida, a couple as well. So it was give me the reality, I guess is the best way to say it, as opposed to what's on the document. That's what I was really trying to achieve. I did a ton of Google searches on, just because what happened was I initially, I could not find anything wrong with this place. And any store that I went to, the reviews were 4.8, 5.0. Ours are the same way. Ours are 4.8 right now. We have a couple, opportunities, I guess you would say. But that was part of what I was looking into. Like, what are the people saying? What are the owners saying? And trying to match it up to what was in the franchise document to make sure everyone is on the up and up.
I like it. How about things that you wish you would have done? Like, I really should have fill in the blank.
So, so the franchise disclosure document, the initial, you open your door cost and you need this X to start generating revenue, was a little off. So essentially, they talk about you need about 3 months, and you're good to go. Well, I found out it's a little bit more than 3 months. So that
When the bills are coming in, you're like,
and so yeah,
shit.
so I started. It was like, ooh, okay. So yeah, so I think that was an opportunity for me in not like when you would talk to other people, they would say, "Oh yeah, of course, like you need 5 years of like you need to plan on losing money for 5 years whenever you open something like that." I didn't anticipate that, so that was a little bit of a challenge, um, and then just I was naive in the sense of we started promoting Facebook probably about 5 months before we opened. And at the time we opened, we had at that point probably 750 followers.
Wow.
And other franchises, when I would look at them, were at around 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2,000. So I'm like, we haven't even opened yet, and we're at 750. So I'm thinking, this is great. Like, this is awesome. Like, money's going to start rolling in. This is fantastic.
Killing this
And
shit.
I realized that wasn't the case. that was not the case. Rightly so. We needed to prove ourselves, which we did, and which we have done over the past 12 or 16 months. And we needed to get our street cred, if you will. But I didn't realize that, and I was a little naive in that area.
So now you started in 07, right?
No.
How does
The
your thing says
franchise
Bill,
itself, the
Bill
company,
partnered
if you
with?
will.
So I'm looking at your thing. It says Bill partnered with Zoom Room, a relatively unknown dog training franchise. Oh, see that reading thing, Bill? Let me tell you about this reading thing. You ever heard of reading? I'm not very good at it. I fail at it often. Ask my wife and children. I read shit because I do what most Marines do. I skim through the top end of shit and I keep reading. Oh, Bill's been involved with this since 2007. Man, that's pretty impressive, Bill. Because I was about to ask you, like, hey, what was it like in 2007 owning a franchise and going through the stock market crash and the recession? Yeah, I screwed that all up.
Yeah. No, they started in '07 out in California. I joined in I guess I signed the agreement in 23, and then we opened up in 24.
So we started right around the same time franchising. Because I started in 20.
Yeah,
I started 23. Now this is something I'm curious of. Did you take the time to have a lawyer read your FDD?
of course. Absolutely. But like any legal documents, there's really, not much in it that a lawyer will say, "Oh my God, don't do that." So they're it's like, you buy and sell a house. The forms are pretty standard, even though you have 5 lawyers sitting around the table at your closing. So it's it what I found since then is that it's very well worded for obvious reasons to favor the franchisor. Uh, you know, the, but that's probably any franchise agreement you sign. So that really wasn't a huge surprise.
I did have a unique experience with mine. My lawyer actually looked at mine and goes, I've never read an FDD that favors the franchisee.
Mm.
Now, it's funny you mentioned the that it favored. Have you ever had somebody? Well, this is a sidebar. I ain't even asked that question. You and I can talk about that shit afterwards. That's more of like owner to owner behind the door. We'll talk about some shit in a minute. Um, so, what are some of the what are some of the things that you would say then for somebody who was like, "Hey, I'm looking to get into a franchise." Do you have any recommendations on process? Like I used a broker, and I think my broker, he's been on the show before. Uh, Broker to me was amazing because of just like an insurance broker, he had access to a lot of franchises and experience with them. what are some of the recommendations process wise that you have for anyone who's looking into this world?
I think, to your point, I mean, do your research. But it's more, I'm more aligned towards starting a business that I would give my advice to, is that you truly need to take market dynamics into account, understand the vibe of where people are. So if you're starting something and there's challenges within the market, egg prices going up, whatever that may be, it's going to affect you. It is definitely going to affect you. So I think my advice would be more around, is your market correct? Is the market opportunity correct? Because the franchise in and of itself should be pretty straightforward in that, again, they're giving you this kind of quasi handbook to get you started. And then are you willing to be all in? I mean, I think that's an incredibly important point. You are as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you are absolutely responsible. There's no boss above you. There is no, I'm calling in sick that day. It is you are in. So I think it's more about the starting the business side of things than the franchise side of things that I would be giving somebody advice for.
What do you mean?
Just what I said is like are you aware of the market? Are you aware of inflation? Are you aware of where your consumers are? Do they, what's their expendable income? What's their target, median household income, things of that nature. One challenge that we have is 80, which is good, but it's still a challenge. 85% of our clients are female. And that is universal across franchise. It's not specific to us. So essentially, in this type of, what's that?
I said, why is that a challenge for you?
Well, you're sort of eliminating half the market right away. You're 50% of your consumers are not there.
Gotcha.
So are you thinking of those kind of unique points to your market dynamics, to your client base that is going to impact your potential success? And is your advertising towards whatever that may be? So it's not. Again, I'm making an assumption, which could be wrong, that most franchises establish themselves as a franchise because they have a proven track record. So for me, the conversation is more about market entry. Do you have the right price point as far as what your build out's going to cost? Are you aware that you could spend the first year not making any money because you're trying to build up your consumer base? Where is your advertising going? So it's more, for me, the conversation is more around starting, let's call it any old business, not necessarily a franchise.
As you were saying that, the first thing that dawned in my head is most men, being how we are, I don't need to take my dog to a trainer. I've got this. I know how to do this. Come here and fight. And whereas women are like, hey, I'm not really experienced in this. What are some of the things I could do? They're much more willing for those things. And I think they also look to men like, well, you're a man. You should know how to handle this dog. Like, I understand that you have a Belgian Malamute or I know what I want. Bill, you know what dog I want so badly? And I love my two little dogs. I want an Irish Wolfhound.
It's a big dog.
It is a monstrous dog.
They're
the largest. They are the largest dogs on the planet. They're like nothing's taller than they are. But I ran into a lady.
We got a big car.
I have a truck.
There you go.
I had to get another van. I ran into a lady though. You want to talk about like the most ironic moment. I was in Hudson, New York, and I loved seeing those dogs, and I'd never actually seen one live and up front. And I ran into a woman who she couldn't have been taller than 5'1", attractive woman with natural red hair, as pale skin, as Irish looking as you could get, walking an Irish wolfhound. I was like, this isn't real. This is something out of a magazine ad. And real quick, before we keep going here, it's that time for that New Scotland last call. Before we get too far into everything, I want to take a moment to honor something bigger than all of us. Tomorrow marks September 11th, a day we'll never forget. A day we remember the lives lost, the heroes who ran towards danger, and the resilience that brought this country together. At New Scotland Spirits, they believe in honoring that legacy with every bottle crafted right here in New York from local grain with unmatched care and purpose. So this week, raise a glass to courage, to unity, to never forgetting. New Scotland Spirits, distilled with respect, proud, poured with pride. Find New Scotland Spirits at newscotlandspirits.com. Tomorrow's a big day, bro. It's been a crazy world we live in. I'm not going to get into politics,
Amen.
but it's a crazy world we're living in today. Like absolute effing insanity. I don't know what's going on in the world, but it just I used to think it was just because everything was televised that we could see it all now, after CNN and televising the first Iraq war. But I've
think
changed.
Again, I'm not going to stray into this lane, but I think what my take is the internet, social media has, in statistics, which I used to do all the time in my previous job, like there's N, like when you say N of 1, it's like how many people participated in a particular trial. N of 1 is nothing. It's like one person. You want N's of like thousands in order to prove your study. But with social media and with the internet, an N of 1 is now broadcasted everywhere in the world. So even though it may have only happened one time, from a public perception, it's like, oh my God, this is happening in my street. And I think that's definitely been a challenge for us.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't like, folks, I'm not trying to go into politics. It's just, it's a crazy ass day with what happened today and between Charlie Kirk and the school in Colorado, 9/11 tomorrow, and some other things that have happened over the last week. I don't know what's going on in the world, but what I do know is I like my dogs. Bill likes his dogs, and Bill gets to play with puppies all day long, which I think is kind of bullshit because I wish I got to play with puppies all day long, and Bill gets to play with puppies all day long. So, I'm gonna put you on spot here for a little bit of on spot. Is there any dogs that walk in the door? Because I heard beagles are the dumbest dogs in the world. But is there any dog that walks in the door there at Zoom Room and listen, you ain't got to tell me, but that you look at this and you're like, this is going to be a challenge for that trainer. Like, like trainers like these are a challenge.
No, but there are many owners.
Bullshit, Bill. Bullshit. Come on.
There. So I'm honestly, this is, how'd I say it the right way?
Just say it.
This is an owner influence situation. If you got a dog that's a little off, generally there's some reasons behind it. So I honestly, I can't say that there's any dog that I would say has some challenges, but I would definitely say that there's opportunities for us as dog owners to do a better job. And that's the same way of, our doctor tells us to eat better. Our physical therapist tells us to go to the gym. It's the same thing. That's the opportunity is with us, not necessarily with the pup.
All right. So this is why Bill's one of the nicest people whenever I see him online. Because he don't want to tell you beagles are dumb and be like, yeah, that basset hound ain't trying to listen today.
So we had a beagle. Wait, hold on. So we had a beagle that came in this summer, and he was a hunting dog. He was wicked smart. So here's a little tip. We do something called clicker training, and the reason we use a clicker is that little plastic sound, as dumb as it is, they go, oh, I don't want to use a clicker. Why do I have to do that? Is consistently the same sound. If you're using things that they would call marker words, such as like good boy or yes, there's subtle changes in your voice that happens that you have absolutely no idea is happening. Your dog picks up on it and they unintentionally ignore you. So a beagle who's got those big ears, that's kind of like, hey, Bubba, you didn't say this the same way, so hell, I ain't sitting anymore. That actually happens.
I could see that. All right. Then we'll go the other way. How about a breed that comes in and you're like, yeah, this is easy. Like that dude's just they just get it. Like border collies and stuff like that, or the Australian shepherds. Like you see them do like crazy stuff. Like one that you're like, that he just gets it.
You're going to hate me because I'm not going to give you that either because they're they're not. We have our 3 agility dogs that were just there the other night that are on our video. One's a mix, probably a decent sized dog, probably 40, 50, 60 pounds, tall dog. One was a corgi, and one is a King Charles Spaniel. You could not get more different dogs in size, height, and personality. All 3 of them are knocking it out in advanced agility. So I got nothing for you on that one. I'm sorry. There's
got to be one that you're like, oh, so these dogs just absolutely amazing. Nothing, God. I told you, folks, Bill's just too nice. He's like, I can't tell you that. Afterwards, he's going to be like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, these dogs.
I got a business to run, my friend.
Chihuahuas can't even get them to listen. Can't. I'll tell you from my experience of going to people's houses, there's no more. They are either the most disloyal or loyal dogs in the world are Chihuahuas. I go into people's houses. If they have Chihuahuas, they like stay away from you and they're like, I weigh 100 pounds. No, you don't. I have shoes heavier than you. Or they're like, hey, it's another person. Come on over. I'm just going to go ahead and hang out with you and never leave anybody else. Like Chihuahuas are the most disloyal animals I've ever seen in my life. Like they ain't got no loyalty to nobody.
Now, if you want to talk about cats, I'll go in that range. But not no. The Chihuahuas are little guys. They're just little, they're the little buddies. They're good to go.
I love listen.
We don't have many. We have a lot of dachshunds. We have a lot of dachshunds lately.
Really?
We don't have many Chihuahuas. We have a decent number of mini dachshunds. So, man, you get a mini dachshund that comes into our preschool at like 8 weeks old. Holy smoly, that dog is small. Oh my goodness gracious!
Fit inside a hot dog
bar. But yeah.
I like dogs.
They're. Me too. I love them all. I mean, they're just. What is I think the funniest thing for me is so we'll do something that's called an orientation. Essentially, you come in and you sit down with me generally, and I'm just going to get background information on you and all that kind of stuff, what you're trying to achieve, goals, stuff like that. And this person come in and they'll say, I've had 5 golden retrievers. And the reason I get 5 golden retrievers is because they do X, Y, and Z. This golden retriever is just bonkers off the wall and doesn't do anything. So I think what makes this job fun is even within the same breed, you don't know what's happening. And that is what I think I enjoy the most.
See, that's awesome. See, I told you, folks, Bill's just that nice a guy. He's going to tell you what it is and make every dog sound wonderful. I'm going to be the one to tell you, like, I'm going to tell you right now.
I'll tell you the truth.
Two dog breeds that are completely underrated. Completely. We're going to go with the dachshund for a second. If you don't know what dachshund's purposes were and the reason they look like giant hot dogs, it's because their job was to go into holes and pull rabbits and rodents and other stuff out. That's a dog that's no bullshit. Like they've got a prey drive that's serious. And the other one, just so you know, folks, that Dalmatian that was 101 of them, and you think so cute, go do your research on why Dalmatians were put on fire trucks, and you're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, like Dalmatians are like, these are my people, and you're not one of them. These are my people. Like they're a very like, this is my people, these are my family. Yeah, they're not a. They don't have my son. My son almost got bit by a Dalmatian because a girl he was dating one time. He came in the house and the dog was like, "You're not my people. What are you doing in this house?" And my son was like, "I gotta go now." Yeah, yeah, Dalmatians. So as we're getting close to the close here, Bill, what are some of the things that like, you know, any advice you want to give somebody that's looking for a franchise or processing with a franchise, or anybody who's got a dog that's like, my dog's got a bad attitude. You know, he keeps taking, the turkey off the table every Thanksgiving. What, how can they get a hold of you? What can be the process for getting in contact with you so they can get that dog in the right spot?
So franchises, definitely just do your research. Find out, like anything in life, if you're going to be doing this, do something you like to do. Find something that you enjoy, that you're going to, be fulfilled with. So there's tons of opportunities from franchises. So just get the one that fits you. Would be my advice for that. And then for the dog, there's no morality in dogs. So there are no bad dogs. There are no good dogs. Dogs are opportunists. They're just like, that hot dog was there. Thank you for the hot dog. That's it. Like there is no, so it's again, the conversations that I have where he knows better. He doesn't know better. I'm telling you the truth. Your dog doesn't know better. So they're animals. They're opportunists. So I would say if you're, one of the most important skills, and my team kind of jokes about this, that I talk about all the time, especially when I'm interacting in a particular class, is something called focus. It is by far the most important skill your dog can learn. And essentially it is what was in the presence of a distraction. So another dog, a person, a car, whatever that may be, your dog is looking at you for direction as opposed to that animal, that rabbit, that person, that car. That is one of our core skills that we teach. If you need help with that, where you call your dog's name and he doesn't respond, she doesn't respond, we can help. That is important. Essentially what we teach, and it's a little kind of funny to say, we teach a dog to know that as a dog owner, we are cooler than the rest of the world. That's it.
Yeah. Dogs are so awesome. Dogs are the only creature I know of in the world.
I love them.
I don't care how bad your day is, how shitty your day is. When a dog jumps in your lap and just like, especially like if you have little dogs, big dogs, maybe not so much. My big dogs didn't do this, but my little dogs do. Like jump in your lap and just kind of like do this fall over thing and fall over into you. It's like, yeah.
So here's the deal. So take your friend, take your spouse, take your kid, lock both of them in the trunk with your dog. When you open the trunk, who's the one that's going to be happy to see you? It's the dog. So there you go.
I have to agree with you. I never thought about it like that, and I'm not going to try it. But
no, don't try it. Don't try it at home. Don't try it at all. Just having a little fun at 9:00 at night.
God, I missed. Listen, I got to get this real quick question. We're gonna go over time because I meant to ask this question, and I asked this of every entrepreneur. 22 years at Johnson & Johnson. What was the conversation like when you went home to your spouse, if you have a spouse, I don't know, and said, "Hey, I'm going ahead and I finally found something. I'm going ahead and leave this 22-year job, and I'm going to go train dogs." What was that conversation?
Well, I think I've been blessed in many ways of my life. So it was determined well ahead of time that at the magic 5.5, which I hit, at Johnson & Johnson, essentially, they're one of the very few companies that still provide a traditional pension in addition to your 401k. So very, very old school kind of type of compensation. So if you were there for 10 years and you hit the magic we would call 55, which I am now exceeding, you would get their health care at a reasonable rate. And then you would get pensions, all that kind of good stuff. So it was always, let's just say, predetermined that at 55-ish, within the next couple of years, I'm going to be creating someone else's business plan, most likely mine. It was more just, what does that look like?
Gotcha. Well, look, folks, if you want to know what Bill's got going on, again, check out zoomroomcliftonpark.com. Everybody should bring their dogs there. I think I'm going to have a conversation with my wife because the puppy is the most undisciplined little bastard that we have in this house. He is absolutely just ridiculous. So Bill and I probably have to talk about that. Make sure you can also find Bill on LinkedIn under Bill Overholt, and that's Overholt. You can find him there. If you're finding me through Bill or Bill through me, make sure you give this all a like, share, follow, all those cliche things. They actually do matter. Following us on all the different websites, YouTube, subscribing to us on Apple. That all makes a difference, folks. Also, make sure you join us next week. Another person that Bill knows, Ben Brockman, is going to be joining us. Ben is another former Marine like myself, but he is the owner of Movement Restoration Specialist, founder of Worksite Fitness, a wellness corporation that's aimed at improving the health and productivity of corporate America. We're going to be talking to him. We're going to be getting into what he's got going on. So make sure you join us. And again, folks, this is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're joining us. Now, Bill, I know you're completely immersed in the Above the Bar podcast culture because you had a glass of Beano on you. So you're completely prepared on how this all works. But just in case you didn't know, and make sure you don't log off on me right afterwards because we got to talk for just a moment. At the end of every episode, the guest always gets the final word. So what's our final word for tonight?
I have one more final word. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for one particular person. So if you are out there and you're in the Capital District and you need some marketing help, go to Dagmar, Dagmar, Trippen.com. She's an amazing lady, help you out. So definitely do that. Incredible person. And my other word is just, here's the good news, folks, about dog training. You don't need to do it minutes at a time, and then you're good to go. That's all you need to do.
All righty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in. This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.